Rema and welcome to my art space. I'm continuing my lessons with the father of Philippine art workshops, Sir Fernando Sena, and I just want to show you the series of lessons that I've been taking with him. And I hope you stick with me and also learn some tips from the Maestro himself.
Classes resumed in the second week of January. I continued my acrylic painting studies and this time, I chose to paint an eagle. One of the things I was always reminded of was to make the brushstrokes obvious, especially in the background. Sir Sena would tell me that the brushstroke should not only go in one direction when making a monotone background like this blue sky, or else it would look like a plain Jane cartolina paper. Also add a few colors to make it more painterly. It felt like painting for a long time because of the details the eagle required. Towards the end of the work, Sir Sena told me to add more texture on the painting with the use of a palette knife. It's sort of like an introduction to the palette knife as another form of brush.
Dapat po yung palette knife po, metal po ba? Kasi may
metal, yung plastic.
Ay, ganun po.
I get to make another sunset portrait, but this time it's sunset above the sea. Again, I made the mistake of making only one brush stroke for the sea waves, but Sir Sena corrected me and showed me that the brush stroke should be varied, mimicking the movement of the waves. He also pointed out that the sea directly hit by the sun rays should be highlighted with white or any bright colors. It turned out great in the end. If last week was an introduction to palette knife painting, today's session was a full-blown palette knife artwork. Sir recommended mixing a molding paste to the acrylic paints to make them thicker because paintings made with palette knife should have thicker and bolder textures. Artworks made with palette knife appear to look like oil paintings, the maestro said, even though they were made of acrylics. He suggested that I should color the painting with a paintbrush first before applying the strokes with a palette knife. The process seemed overwhelming for me. It made me hungry. If painting the whole picture was tiring, the paint application with the use of the palette knife was even more tiring. I continued my work at home for days. Dude, not just one day, but days. Maybe because I was procrastinating. The process can be tough and even frustrating, especially when the paint I applied was thicker than I wanted. Still, I liked the end result because the still life picture looked so alive. It's a day before my birthday, but it's like any other normal day for me. I chose to paint the Mayon volcano, which is known for its perfect shape. Taho, our local soya bean curd snack, was the booster for the day again because this was going to be a palette knife painting. In the following week, I painted the Mayon volcano again, but this time, it's based on Sir Sena's painting. He wanted us to copy his own version of the Mayon volcano. This is like a version 2.0 of my previous work. Sir Sena's version of the Mayon volcano is more colorful and vibrant than mine. I like this master copy that I made because it was better than my previous work. I continued my palette knife painting lessons. This time, Sir Sena told me to make a portrait of a squatter's area or slums. This is another type of portrait that Sir Sena loves to make, and he wanted us to learn this kind of palette knife painting, which would actually turn something so dire into something aesthetic. As usual, I was overwhelmed with the idea that it's going to be another palette knife painting. The maestro, in his casual teaching self, demonstrated how to add various colors and textures to the squalid and overcrowded houses.
Pero i-brush mo muna bago mo kukunin.
Yeah, you guessed it. This kind of painting needs lots of paint. But this is not the finished product yet because the clothes are not yet hung outside to dry. Even slum dwellers need clothes, and every house should have clothes of different colors. This somehow reminded me of my laundry. I would get this feeling of satisfaction when I see all my laundry lined up to dry. And I got this same feeling of satisfaction after finishing this artwork. This session was the day when I started my exhibit piece for the Tones and Reflections exhibit that was held from the beginning of March until April. I won't go through the process of this painting in this video, but I explained this in my other video covering the exhibit. You can check that out later. Another highlight of this day's session was a demo from Sir Sena. Before painting, he gave us a helpful tip on how to keep acrylic paints from drying.
Para hindi matuyo yung acrylic nyo. Ayun o, 5 araw na yun o. Kasi pag nakatakip ng gano'n, hindi matutuyo yan.
Tatakpan.
Oh, pero merong basaan yan sa ilalim. May basaan yan sa ilalim, oh. Binabasahan mo na. Tsaka dyaryo lang, oh. Ayan, oh.
May basahan na basa. May basa.
Babasahin nyo. Mga gano'n, oh. Ayan, dyaryo.
The maestro demonstrated how sunset should be painted. He presented what colors are dominant in painting the sky and how to blend them.
Nagsasalubong ito, itong dilaw na yan, araw minsan, oh. Diyan, oh. Dyaryo. Yan, minsan dito meron. Yan, yung ginagawa ni Verna, oh. Dito, sa ilalim. Ito malakas, oh. Bula, oh. Dito. Mapatong. Yan, oh.
Guess how long did the maestro got through his work? He made it in only about 10 minutes, maybe even less. By the time I thought he was finished, he would keep on adding more and more elements like rocks or a boat. He's really a virtuoso, and I could only wish to reach that level of speed one day. Maybe when I'm over 70 like him. This session was different from the previous ones because I was told to do a portrait of a woman's face in side view. I started with the eye, but the maestro corrected me. He instructed me to make the nose bigger because my subject was a Western woman. After making the draft for the face, he told me to paint the basic skin color first before the eyes. He then proceeded with the dark colors on the lowest part of the face and gradually made the colors lighter and lighter until reaching the highlights, the part where the light hits, like the cheeks and the nose bridge. For the rest of the session, I just polished the portrait and filled the gaps. Portrait making continued in the next session. I made the front view self-portrait with the help of one of the school's teaching assistants, Sir Charlie. The Maestro School has a number of teaching assistants and they would also help around, especially if there were a lot of students. Unfortunately, each teaching assistant have different styles and techniques in art making, so there were times when I'd be confused which one to follow. But I'd stick with Sir Sena's teaching because He's the OG of all great artists in the Philippines. Anyway, this was my first self-portrait in acrylics. I was not quite too confident with it, but do tell me, does it look like me? I returned to my classes about a week after taking a vacation in El Nido, Palawan. By this point, I was given the free rein to choose the subject for the session. Fresh from vacation, I chose one of the islands I saw in El Nido and I wanted to paint that. But I will not discuss the process here because I've discussed it in another video. Now that I've been given the liberty to paint whatever I wanted, I chose another subject from another tourist spot I visited. This one was the Macho Temple in San Fernando, La Union, and I have another video showing all of the tourist spots in San Fernando. Painting buildings like this is a tricky one, especially that this portrait involved a two-way perspective, as Sir Sena eventually told me. But I like to take on a new challenge. I started with the easy parts first, like the sky and the trees, which were on the background. I focused on the trees too much as I dabbed the paintbrush to create the leaves. Still, I left this unfinished for today because I knew the temple had more details to work on. I failed to complete my Macho Temple painting during the weekdays because I was too busy and I was unsure what to do. I could not wrap my head around on where I should begin or resume or continue because the details were too overwhelming for me. Sir Sena guided me by painting the highest rooftop first. I was amazed that this was so easy for him and how straight his lines were. He reminded me not to make it perfectly straight because we're not architects, we're artists. So it's okay to leave little mistakes and make the portrait more painterly. But like last week, it remained unfinished. I continued last week's painting. I had to repaint some parts of the temple and make enhancements in order to correct the perspective. I was bothered that the perspective of some parts of the temple was not correct. Honestly, this was the hardest painting I did and 2 days were not enough. I would also say that this work was the messiest of them all. After 3 weeks, finally I was able to finish this painting. I just needed to paint the plants that are nearest to the viewer's viewpoint. Maestro Sena advised me to enhance the parts facing the sun with brighter and lighter colors to make the light more obvious. I think we're now good on this.
So I'm going to stop the series here at this point. I actually asked Sir if I can move on to oil painting because if you've been with me at the beginning of my vlog, oil paints was the first, well, not actually first, but one of the major mediums that I've been using before. And I want to revisit that and I want Sir to teach me oil painting, which is also part of the advanced class. But he said, I'll be taking advanced classes forever. But somehow I plan to rest after today's session where I just continue this painting and I want to take more Saturdays off and maybe concentrate more on going other places or events. Let's see. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button, and if you're here in my channel for the first time, please subscribe and also click the bell button so you'll be notified of future videos from me. Again, my name is Rema. I also have other art videos, art and travel videos in my channel, so please check them out. And I hope to see you in the next art space. Bye!